Got a dozen meetings today. I'm here in Twitter headquarters, head up to the Innovation Hub. First one starts in like 7 minutes. They're back to back for the next 9 hours. Gonna be fun. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm looking forward to hearing you speak at the NFT NYC event on February 20th at the PlayStation Theater near Times Square. It'll be a lot of fun, and there's gonna be a lot of great people there, both speaking as well as folks just coming to attend. And I wanted to connect with you for a moment to ask a few questions before the event. Could you start by just introducing yourself and your involvement in the NFT community? I'd love to have you share for a moment.
Sure. Hi, I'm David Packman. I'm a partner at Venrock. I'm based in New York City. We're a venture capital firm that invests in early stage tech companies. And we've invested in a few crypto companies. We invest in typical ways like equity investing, and we're also super excited about and interested in using tokens as a mechanism of investment.
That's great. If somebody came up to you and didn't understand non-fungible tokens, and they say, "Hey, what's an NFT? I've heard about crypto kitties, and what is an NFT? What does that mean?" How would you describe that to somebody that doesn't have a framework for it?
Sure. Well, first I would say that I would give the standard definition, which is that non-fungible tokens are a technical standard that creates a scarce digital item. And then I would say that what's important and interesting about that is if you think of the real world, many items are scarce. One book that you may own is a single book, and they're hard to copy in the physical world. You can think of pieces of art or furniture, or physical items are generally hard to copy. But as the world went from physical items to digital goods, as the internet came about, digital goods are easy to copy. So there's an infinite number of them. An artist can record a song and distribute it digitally. It's really easy to get to people, but it can be copied millions of times. So when we shifted from analog to digital, we lost scarcity. And scarcity is an important concept when people want to collect things of value, or you want to maintain some uniqueness to the creations that you make. Well, NFTs are the first digital mechanism for creating truly scarce digital items, and artists can create a unique number of items that have a limited quantity and cannot be copied, and ownership can be verified. So I think it's pretty interesting. I think it's actually a pretty large idea. I think it can open up a vastly large market.
Maybe a little deeper on that, why do you think the blockchain becoming developed? Of course, it's still in its infancy. What is it about blockchain, the distributed ledger industry and technology, that makes this modern approach to NFTs different than they were when Brock Pierce was selling video game items, in mass early on? So how is the NFT market different today because of the explosion of blockchain and all the people investing their energy building blockchain products?
It is possible, and has been possible, for people to create worlds or enclosed ecosystems where a centralized authority, like a company, can impose some scarcity on digital items, like in a video game, where they can agree to sell only 1,000 green cloaks, and the cloak's ownership is verified by the centralized company, by the company who makes the video game. The problem with that is you're at the mercy of the company who makes a video game. If they decide to make more green cloaks, well, then you don't have a unique one anymore. Or if the company goes out of business, your green cloak isn't worth anything anymore. You can't do anything with it. If they decide to let you trade it, great. If they decide to not let you trade it, you can't move it, you can't sell it. On the blockchain, there is no centralized authority. It's a distributed, decentralized system. And so as a buyer of a unique, scarce digital good, you can be sure of a few things. One is that when you buy one, there's no company to go out of business to make the item worthless anymore. It's an item that lives on the blockchain in perpetuity, no matter who created it and what happens to them. And your ownership can be verified by everyone. And the rules of the road can't change, because the rules of the item that you buy are embedded in a smart contract. It's code that gets executed on a distributed computer called the blockchain. So you can feel more safety, more comfort as a buyer in knowing that, just like buying a piece of rare art, the artist, if the artist is no longer alive, they're not going to be able to make any more pieces of art like that. Similarly, if you buy a unique digital good, like a very rare crypto kitty, and the contract says that you own this good and there'll be no more like it, then there will be no more like it. No one can change the rules of the road.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. I'm glad I added the question. For the event on February 20th that's happening, the NFT NYC event, why do you think folks should join us for this event? What is your anticipation? What are you hoping happens at this event? Just let's talk about it for a moment.
Sure. Well, this is why this is a big idea. It's a big idea because humans, by our nature, collect things. We collect stamps and coins. We collect art and wine. We collect shoes and furniture. We collect Pokemon cards and baseball cards. Not all of us, but many of us do or have at some point in our life. It's embedded in our psychology. There's 7 different reasons why the human species likes to collect things. We all do it for different reasons, but many of us collect. And we've been unable to collect digital assets. NFTs enable the collection of digital assets, of scarce digital items. That's a really big idea. It's an idea that literally could be worth or could open up hundreds of billions of dollars of market potential, market value. So if you think that's interesting, you should come to NFT.NYC and hear people talk about it, and so you can understand what the future holds.
Yeah, that's great. Tell me a bit about what you're going to be speaking about, the topic, and then what you're really hoping happens as you communicate to this crowd.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about my perspective as an investor in both blockchain projects and in companies doing digital collectibles. We are investors in CryptoKitties, one of the leading crypto collectible companies. So we'll talk a little bit about how an investor views these opportunities. So if you're an entrepreneur, want to maybe listen a little bit to us about how we think of investing, talk a little bit about the path to creating big companies and big ecosystems around crypto collectibles.
That's great. One of the talks that I'm doing at the very end is NFT 2024. My hope is to resource the ideas of the speakers like yourself and try to make it kind of a conclusive talk at the end of the event, where it's kind of wrapping the event, resourcing people like you, and then mentioning, hey, here, none of us are right, but here's our hope, here's our prediction, here's what we're driving toward creating in the non-fungible token space in the next 5 years. If you had to say, hey, NFT 2024 looks like ... how would you approach that?
Well, we're already seeing today really brilliant entrepreneurs creating these new NFT crypto collectibles. We see the Dapper Labs folks invented CryptoKitties. We've seen Gods Unchained, crypto cars, a number of really interesting new concepts. And these are both collectibles and games. So the collectibles that are more interesting over time. But what I think you'll see by 2024 is a lot of traditional IP. Some of the largest IP owners that own, let's say, comic books or movie franchises or book franchises, introducing digital scarce versions of their items, or maybe even larger video game companies in the market. So I think you'll see this a much larger market with many more participants, not just startups, offering, selling, and creating around NFTs.
That's great. If you don't mind, I want to ask another question based on you as one of the investors in this NFT and blockchain and crypto space. What are you looking at right now? Like, what type of things are you looking for, ideally in the NFT space? What deal flow are you looking for? What type of entrepreneurs are you looking to meet? Give me some insight and, in the sense, capture some insight in terms of, the type of entrepreneurs or organizations that you're like, hey, these are the folks that we're looking to have conversations with about helping them scale.
Sure. Well, I think we're in a building stage. The infrastructure to launch and sell and support many broad NFT-based ecosystems is not adequate today. As the CryptoKitties experiment last December proved, the blockchains that we're building on today and the scaling solutions on top of them and the wallets and the mechanisms for buying are so immature that they break. You can't scale. And I think they're largely inaccessible to the average consumer. It's complicated. So I think we're talking to a lot of companies to help build out the stack to make this ecosystem easier and scalable. Once we have some of the infrastructure, I think we'll be able to see more successful companies at the top layer who are building the IP, right? They're building interesting worlds or games or items. The world doesn't always work this way. I mean, I think a lot of times as creators, we jump right to the creation and the infrastructure has to come after. That's exactly what happened with CryptoKitties. So because of that, we're not ignoring the top layer. We're not ignoring the app layer. We're still talking to and very interested in meeting the creatives who want to enable their own digital worlds or crypto collectible ecosystems or game platforms. We're trying to talk to everyone who's got interesting ideas in the space.
If someone wants to get a hold of you or your organization, how might they do that? And who do you think would be the type of people that maybe should reach out if that was the case? If you want to kind of clarify, hey, if you are looking to pitch us, or if you're looking to co-invest with us, or you're looking to have a partnership with us, this is the way to get in touch with us. That might be helpful as we wrap up our time.
If you're an entrepreneur that has got some plans about building in the NFT ecosystem somewhere up and down the stack, we'd love to meet you. You can reach me, dp@venrock.com. Check out our website. I'm on Twitter @Pacman. Let's talk.
I just finished up with David Pacman, who is a significant and early investor, his firm, into CryptoKitties. So obviously he's become a voice of authority because of that. And that was a wonderful interview, man. The guy is very articulate, really clear, concise answers. I threw in a couple extra questions because he was so the brevity, and I just felt like there was some more I could pull. So that was a great conversation. I might post that right away as an example to the rest of the interviews that are coming up. Although there's been lots of good examples from the previous dozen, that one was fresh. So really dig it, man. There's a lot of great speakers that are going to be at this event. It's going to be awesome. Well, thank you for joining me for a brief pre-event speaker interview. I know that the folks that are going to be attending the NFT NYC event on February 20th inside the PlayStation Theater in New York and Times Square will be looking forward to hearing what you have to share. And this is kind of a chance for us to learn a little bit about you before that event. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us about your company and your involvement in the NFT market?
Hi, Ian. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Vlad. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Cardified. We're a company behind a blockchain-based game, War Riders. War Riders is the post-apocalyptic MMO game of discovering or mining cryptocurrency and blowing up cars. So our company has been around since 2015. We're venture funded, and we went through one of the top accelerators in New York City, which is Mary.
Non-fungible token is a little new. Some people don't know what it is. If somebody came to you, whether it's an investor or just a friend, they say, hey, so what's this event? What is an NFT? What's a non-fungible token? How would you define it? How would you explain it to somebody that's not familiar with it?
Well, that's an interesting question because you can explain it from so many ways, but from so many, from so many sides, such as technical or if we would think from the gaming standpoint, NFT is just like any of your in-game items that you're used to, such as like a nice sword or a vehicle in War Riders game. But instead of having this item on the company server, on the server of the big game publisher, the item resides in your personal wallet, so you're in complete control of the item. Lots of cryptocurrency wallets have came up recently, and it's super easy to manage these items, and no one can take them away from you, which is something that gamers really appreciate.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Thank you for giving some explanation. Why do you think people should join us at the NFT NYC event in New York on February 20th? Maybe share why you're going and why you think folks should come and attend for the day.
Well, this is one of a kind conference that has never happened in New York City before. So there are tons of cool peeps from CryptoKitties, OpenSea, War Writers are coming, and there's definitely room for everyone. There's going to be lots of technical talks for developers. There are going to be lots of presentations from games, so that the fans can come in and listen to maybe look at some new games that are coming out. And there's going to be lots of fun, so everyone should definitely attend.
That's great. Tell me about your talk. What are you going to be speaking about, and what are you hoping to communicate during that keynote that you're giving?
Well, at War Writers, we have accumulated tons of experience in building and designing smart contracts for games. And building games is hard by itself, but when you're trying to build a smart contract system inside that runs flawlessly inside a game, that's even harder. You have to build smart contracts now, but your game is going to run over many years, hopefully. And if you mess up the smart contracts, the in-game economy may just be ruined forever. So it's my talk is going to be about designing smart contract system for future in-game economies. So a lot of the developers, maybe regular people who want to get into game development will learn some of the kind of nuts and bolts of designing smart contracts, what mistakes to avoid, what things to make sure of, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that'd be cool to hear what you share. And tell me a little bit more about Cardified. I mean, what are you hoping that you get out of the event for your organization?
Cardified is interested in speaking with people, talking with other game developers in the space, talking with other crypto gamers. We're interested in showcasing our game. We're interested in sharing our experience in building smart contracts and what mistakes we've made, and hopefully other people will avoid these mistakes. And just to hang out, we want to meet cool peeps, and it does sound like good conference.
Yeah, great. My last question is about the future. So if you put your futurist hat on and you make some 5-year predictions on the NFT market development, whether it's enterprise or consumer, whether it's about games or smart contracts, the integration of all this together in the non-fungible token market. If you had to say, hey, NFT 2024 will be like ... what's your predictions?
Well, there are two things that can possibly happen, two scenarios. The first scenario is NFT don't catch up and everything dies. And the second scenario is NFT is going to catch up. People are going to embrace the new technology. People are going to understand that decentralization truly matters for some of the items, not only for in-game items. And we're going to see lots of big game publishers adopting the new technology, embracing new technology. Hopefully, lots of the companies that are working hard to bring this new technology to the world are going to be acquired or are going to have some sort of an exit, will be rewarded. And I think we're going to see lots of mainstream gamers. If we're talking about the gaming case, we're going to see lots of mainstream gamers embracing the new technology and operating using some of the decentralized instruments such as wallets and stuff like that. And maybe hopefully more marketplaces will arise soon, because we currently have OpenSea that is definitely number one, and we have some others like Rarebits, but looks like they're getting a little bit slower traction. But we definitely need more marketplaces, more members in the community, and this is what we're all working on at the moment.
Yeah, it's great. How would people get a hold of you? You personally or your organization, Cardified? If somebody wants to reach out, how would they do that?
Cool. If you want to email me personally, you can email me vlad@cardified.com, or you can also email info@warriders.com, which is our company email for War Riders game, with all the inquiries. And we can also have, we're active on Discord and Telegram. We have our Discord community, which is over 1,500 people. We're active on Twitter as well at War Riders. So any of these channels you can definitely try out.
Oliver, thank you so much for joining me for this brief pre-event speaker interview. Both of us are going to be at the NFT NYC event on February 20th inside the PlayStation Theater in New York Times Square. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you're going to share there. And I want to ask a few questions before that event. Can you start by just letting people know who you are and what you do?
Hi, I'm Oliver Carding. I am the founder and owner of a website called coinjournal.net, which is a news site. And I also founded Crypto Kaiju, which is the first physical, and it's the first collectibles that actually link, physical collectibles that link with NFTs.
Great. Not everybody understands what a non-fungible token is. So if you had somebody that says, hey, so what is this conference? What's an NFT? How do you describe and define a non-fungible token?
How I always explain an NFT is it is like a traditional currency or a cryptocurrency that holds unique properties. So it's really cool. You can kind of expand on things that we've done before, and you can create very unique collectibles, pieces of artwork that have unique properties.
And what are you feeling, what are you excited about for this event, the NFT NYC event? Why do you want to be a part of it, and why do you think people should join us for this event?
There's no other event like that that's got that kind of lineup that's just that dedicated to NFTs. I go to a lot of conferences, DevCon, a lot of the Ethereum conferences, and you might get a few speakers who talk about NFTs, but this whole day is going to be focused to NFTs. Just seeing the caliber of the speakers there, I think that's a real reason to go.
Yeah. Now, your talk is on tokenizing physical collectibles. Can you tell me a bit about what you hope to communicate during your talk?
Yeah, definitely. I really want to talk about kind of the whole process for how we actually came to the idea of actually tokenizing physical collectibles, the hindrances we had and the issues that we came up against, both with actual physical production and also kind of token standards. ERC 721 isn't perfect for it, so some clever stuff we use to kind of get around that. I want to talk about kind of where we can make further improvements and what we're going to do next with Crypto Kaiju, as we're getting a lot of questions as to what we actually are doing next.
Well, that's great for my kind of segue to my last question. What are you trying to build for the future? My talk is on NFT 2024. My goal is to kind of cast a very optimistic vision that will inspire everybody there. Like, hey, we're in the right industry, we're doing the right things, like this is where things can go. But one of my goals is to find out from the other thought leaders like yourself what you anticipate 5 years out. So if you had to say, hey, NFT 2024 looks like what do you anticipate 5 years from now?
For me, I think NFT 2024 is just seeing NFTs used to the point where we don't even realize we're NFTs anymore. It's just seamless integration with everything. I think we're going to see mass adoption in the kind of video games industry. We'll see a lot more kind of open source, open platform gaming with people trading items between games, and that really, really excites me. But overall, I think we just won't even call them NFTs anymore. I think it'll just be the norm. I think that's the biggest thing that NFTs will improve, is just completely changing and simplifying the games industry and the entertainment industry.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for that. That's inspiring. How would people get a hold of you? So if people want to get in touch with you personally, or interested in what you're working on, how would they get in touch with you?
Okay, you can follow us on Twitter under CryptoKaiju.io. Our website is cryptokaiju.io.
Okay, I've already done several meetings. David, big investor in CryptoKitties, Vlad from Cardified, and just with Ollie from Crypto Kaiju. Jody Rich also jumped in and joined me for a couple of these. And then I had a couple meetings. I had to push one to later this afternoon, one to Monday. And I'm about to start my next one. And I basically have I have 10 meetings back to back from this moment until 3:30 p.m. So the next 6.5 hours, 10 meetings. Which is why I'm recording these little videos, because I figure it might be kind of a cool story to show people. Like, it's not that complicated. You can get a lot done in a short amount of time. And it's just about smiling and being friendly, using a little technology to help you. My 9 o'clock canceled. Pumped. Means I get to eat and have coffee before 3:30 p.m. today. Might even be able to use the restroom. Huge win. That's not a reason. Stack the calendar. People gonna cancel, baby. You don't care if anybody cancels, you got a dozen appointments. No, that's just fine. Okay, I had to move rooms here at the Innovation Hub inside of Twitter. There's all these different offices for me to use, but sometimes I have to move from place to place. So I'm trying to frame in this so it looks super cool, because who wants to watch a boring looking video? And because I had one of the people cancel, I was able to go get some oatmeal for breakfast, which was freaking delicious. Coffee. Cheers. I'm almost excited about this right here. I think I might stand. Although all I'm doing is asking questions, but freaking ask questions with incredible power and authority, passion and urgency. Am I standing? This feels pretty good. I like it. It's better soundproofing. It's black, which is the best color of all. Why? Because it's all the colors. That's why. Whatever your favorite color is, it's inside of black. So, yeah. This is kind of a boring update video, but sometimes this stuff is kind of boring anyways. Trying to dial this in. This potentially feels pretty awesome to me. So this phone, I have 2 phones, because who would ever want just one phone? You could have 2. I have 2 phones because of moments like this. Well, actually, the main reason is my unlimited AT&T plan of 20 gigabytes a month, that's gone in like 10 days, so I have to have a second phone to hotspot on. But also, I can be recording or live streaming from my old iPhone 7 Plus, and I have my iPhone 10 that I can be working on and doing things. It's very, very convenient. So I have my phone right here, which is to capture my video and my audio. And then I'm using Zoom on my computer to capture their video and all of our collective audio. When it starts and ends before the official interview, when I'm just getting to know them, then the video will go back and forth. Then for the official, like 5-10 minute interview, what I do is I will pin their video on Zoom. That allows me to only have their video. Then I take that Zoom video, I cut the beginning and end, I take this video off my phone, put it in my computer, cut the beginning and end, then I send those two cuts to the post-production editor, and then that person will take and create something out of it, ideally. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to frame this up. I could get closer. I could get closer, and I could have an all black background. This phone is ridiculous. Stop phone, stop doing this ridiculous stuff. Gosh, it's almost awesome. I'm a little tight up in here, but it feels pretty good, man. It's all black. And I got this beard, which hides my double chin. So down angles are fine. Yes, they are. But he shaved this little face right here. We don't do this angle. No, camera's up here. Yeah, that's when I'm like this. Hey, man. Which is weird because, hey, if you're fat, you're fat. It's like, got double chin, got double chin. It ain't gonna change if you look better on film. Wanna look better? Eat less and work out more. Not very complicated. Just a little self-talk coaching right there. I feel pretty good about this. It definitely would have been helpful to have someone from my team with me. Yeah, this feels good. This feels good. Okay, what do I got next? Okay. So I have a meeting with the live streaming guy at the PlayStation Theater in a few minutes. And then I have back-to-back interviews every half hour. 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, yeah. Wild. Okay. Well, a little behind the scenes action. I was just calling my media director to make sure that he is able to join me for this meeting with the live streaming dude from the PlayStation Theater. Now I gotta jump on Zoom and get ready to rumble. Gotta have all the right people on the boat. And usually at my events, we'll live stream the main stage through all of the speakers' accounts using a software, and then we'll live stream kind of like a post pre-interview area separately. Well, you were limited to 4 hours, I believe, on Facebook. So we'll have to kind of have like a morning, afternoon. So we'd like stream from like 10:30 to 1 and then 1 to 3:30 as an example, or the main stage. Now, Jesse, we can ask Sean to clarify that, because for me, to be honest, I would much rather have the main stage the entire time with no break. But whatever Facebook's and YouTube's rules are, we have to abide by. I just had to jump off that meeting with the PlayStation Theater guys to jump onto my next meeting, and now it's going to be back to back. So,
enter your
here we go,
participant
baby.
ID.
Clay, thank you so much for joining me for this brief pre-event speaker interview for the NFT NYC event that we are both speakers at on February 20th. That's happening in the PlayStation Theater in New York Times Square. And I'm excited about what you're going to be sharing. Your company 100X, and you're going to be talking about the importance of distribution, platforms, and collaboration in the NFT ecosystem. Before I ask you a few questions around NFT and what you're speaking about, could you please tell us who you are and what 100X is, and give us a little context about you?
I am Clay Robbins. I lead ecosystem development at 0x, which is a decentralized exchange protocol built on top of Ethereum.
Okay, great. And if somebody doesn't know what a non-fungible token is, and they come up to you, it doesn't matter to me whether they're like a potential investor or a client or maybe a new employee, but they say like, so what's a non-fungible token? Like, how do you define NFT to people?
I define an NFT as the first vehicle that we have to enable true verifiable digital scarcity, which in plain English I define as you can, whether it's a gaming item or a financial asset, deterministically understand that that asset is what it is, and it is as limited edition or as unique as the issuer says it is.
Yeah, great. That's a great definition. Give me an idea, why are you coming to the NFT NYC event, and why should people join us there?
A lot of crypto conferences have been focused on just sort of talking everyone's own book, and with NFT NYC, it sounds like it will be more narrative based, and especially with an emerging technology like NFTs, I think it's important for us to establish a narrative so that people can grasp it a little bit more better than they would otherwise.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. And how about your talk? So you're speaking about the importance of distribution, platforms, collaboration in the NFT ecosystem. You're, I think, tying it into 100X. And so maybe a couple things like, what are you talking about? Give us like a little description. And what do you hope comes from what you communicate to people?
In the NFT space, we're definitely still in the infrastructure phase. And 0x is focused on building a key piece of infrastructure, which is exchange. And so my talk is focused on giving an overview of those different pieces of infrastructure in the context of the NFT ecosystem, so that we can attendees can better understand what that landscape looks like.
Great. The last question is a little selfish for me. I am talking about NFT 2024. You know, I'm going to try to gather together a lot of the speakers like you, the 5-year predictions, like what motivates us to get out of bed? Why are we going after this? Why are we building enterprise software? Why are we trying to recruit people into this industry? What's the consumer benefit? I don't really care what angle you take, but if you had to say, hey, NFT 2024 could be, like, give me your idea of what this non-fungible token market could be like in 5 years.
I take two sides of it. In the near term, I think, as I mentioned, we're still in the infrastructure phase. So I think the first couple of years will be focused on building those key pieces of infrastructure. And then after that, what I hope by 2024 is that we have both in the gaming space a vibrant set of games that are leveraging NFTs, as well as secondary markets, open secondary markets through which those NFTs are traded. And in addition to that, vibrant secondary markets and primary markets for financial assets that leverage NFTs to represent those different financial vehicles that have been built.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any other things that you want to share in regards to NFT or 100X, or what your personal or your corporate intention is at the event? For instance, are you looking to recruit talent, to forge partnerships, to get investment? Are you looking for companies to blah, blah, blah? So if you want to just give me and us a little more insight in terms of your personal and corporate motivation in being involved with the event, I'd love to capture that.
I'm very passionate about the space, just because as a former gamer and technology enthusiast, I think that the bleeding edge is always the most interesting. From the 0x perspective, we really view ourselves as a core piece of infrastructure that when you think about exchange, that transcends a lot of different industries, whether it be financial markets, gaming, crypto derivatives, whatever it is. And so our goal for the conference is to talk about how we fit into this broader narrative of NFTs and enabling exchange on both primary and secondary markets for these assets.
It's great. It's great. And how do people get a hold of you or 100X?
You can find me in a couple different places. I'm primarily on Twitter. I'm just at Krabby Lions, which is an anagram for my name. And then I'm just Clay at zerox.org. So really simple, straightforward.
Dude, I have this crazy idea for NFTs. I'm so freaking pumped about this right now. Are you ready for this? This is a powerful application. I'm gonna tell you later. Sorry to leave you hanging like that. I cannot wait to tell you about my crazy idea. Okay, you ready? Wait, I got another meeting. I gotta run into that. I'm gonna tell you soon. Renee, thank you so much for joining me for this brief pre-event speaker interview. Both of us are speakers at the NFT NYC event coming up February 20th inside of the PlayStation Theater in New York in Times Square. And I think it's going to be fun for people to hear what you have to share. Jody Rich, who's putting this event on, he's very excited about having you there. Can you please tell everybody who you are and tell people about Quellcode, and then I'll ask you a series of questions.
Yeah, of course. I'm the project manager of a project called Chainbreakers and co-founder of a software company called Quellcode from Germany. We decided last year to get into blockchain gaming, coming from virtual reality, and saw Decentraland as a decentralized metaverse, web-based, like being the perfect place to start. And we connected to the co-founders, Ari and Esteban, and formed a partnership where we are going to provide one of the launch titles, a strategy RPG. And yeah, we are already working on it, kicked off our crowd sale, and everything works pretty well. So I can talk about the things we've learned during these times during the conference in New York.
Awesome. So why are you coming to the NFT conference, and why do you think other people should join us?
I think people need to learn about this new kind of digital asset. NFT NYC is a great place to connect, and the talks are a good way to catch up with what happened last year and might get you thinking what's possible in the future.
Can you define non-fungible tokens for us? Like, how would you describe what an NFT is if somebody had no idea about it?
NFTs are digital assets that can be offered in limited series and with immutable total supply. You can think about scarce items, collectibles, even event tickets, for example, lots of stuff going on.
That's great. And tell us about what you're going to speak about at the event.
Yeah, I will have a fire chat with Margaret de Cossel, also known as Coin Artist. She's from Neon District, and we will talk about the past, present, future of interoperability in the NFT ecosystem.
Awesome. And let's talk about the future for a moment. So what do you think is going to happen with non-fungible tokens in the next 5 years? Like, what does NFT 2024 look like, in your opinion?
I think accessibility and service around the whole NFT ecosystem will vastly improve. We might see a separation from the hurdles of cryptocurrencies like exchanges and stuff. Chainbreakers, for example, works with nifty gateways to offer credit card payments for our crowd sale. Yeah, lots of things like that will make it way easier to use NFTs.
Yeah, I'm excited about that when the foundation is better built and things are set in motion administratively, operationally, so that these things can grow and thrive. How do people get a hold of you? How do people find you online, or if they want to reach out? What's the best way to do that?
You can follow me on Twitter. It's Reneil, Reneil 1337. on Discord. I use this handle everywhere, in LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you want.
Just had a fun meeting with Renee from Germany. Jody jumped in, which is cool. So I'm even more excited right now about this idea. Okay, so you have to think sports, right? You ready for this? You ready for this? Once a year, there's a handful of sport card companies that make a sport card, which baseball cards, football cards, they used to be huge. I don't know how big they are anymore, but it's a fungible token of sorts, right? Of course, they even have limited editions, numbered and all that, which sets the precedent. So imagine, I'm so pumped about this. This will work for every sport. This will revolutionize collectibles. You can create tens of thousands of NFTs around each player on each team. This is huge. Or it's not, and I'm just pumped about it right now. I'm totally over it tomorrow. You ready for this? Okay, I'm gonna have to tell you later because I have another call right now. Sorry to do that to you. I really want to tell you about this idea. William, thank you so much for joining me for this pre-event speaker interview. The two of us have the honor of speaking at the upcoming NFT NYC event on February 20th. It's happening at the PlayStation Theater in New York City in Times Square. And I know that Jody Rich, who is leading this event, is so excited to have you come share. I understand you're taking a 3-hour workshop and shoving it into a half hour. So congratulations in advance on pulling that off. Before we start with a few questions that I'd like to ask you, could you just tell us who you are and what you do for a little context?
Hi, my name is Will Entrican. I'm from Philadelphia. I got started in blockchain in January and it's taken it off from there. Actually, my project has been to start with the effort CryptoKitties put together and introduce it to the world because I think it's a big concept and it's already spun off this many events. So we're doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely. If somebody came up to you and says, hey, what a non-fungible token, NFT, what is that? How would you describe or define NFT to somebody that's just learning about it?
NFT is a database record. So it doesn't sound very sexy, and it shouldn't be. So since we're a bunch of nerds right now, we're the ones building the things, so we need to care about that. But it is an NFT is a specific asset that's a digital asset, and it's going to connect either to a real world thing or something that you would use digitally. It sounds pretty brief, but actually there's many applications for that.
Yeah, and certainly because of blockchain, we now can take NFTs truly digital with real true transparency, security. Like we know this, there's only one of these digital assets in the whole world. You can track it. I mean, a lot of things are available today that you couldn't do with baseball cards, right, 20 years ago, just because it said 1 out of 50 or 1 out of 1, or couldn't do with World of Warcraft or Magic the Gathering as people were buying and selling and trading these digital assets. Things are definitely different because of blockchain. So that's a very exciting development. Obviously, we see the benefit of the CryptoKitties, their success, and of course, there'll be lots of success after that. Now, this event that's coming up on February 20th, NFT NYC, tell us, why are you coming and why should people come and join us for this event?
Well, the first event on this topic was Nifty in Hong Kong, and that came out about a month after this standard was finalized. So just looking at the attendance from there, it was huge. Now it's been a little bit longer, more people have learned about this, and the topic is larger. So Nifty was focused only on games. NFT.NYC is a larger audience with more applications. So of course it's going to be a much bigger topic.
Now tell us about what you're talking about. What are you going to be speaking about and what do you hope to accomplish when you are speaking?
My topic is an entry-level explanation of what is ERC 721, NFTs, and how to use them. This is a topic I've given in several venues. It's usually about 3 hours. So we're going to have to cut it down. And this is usually something I give one-on-one or groups of 30. So to have for this such a large audience, we're going to need some magic. We don't require any programming experience. or any experience whatsoever. So this is really a new concept, and it has to be explained well. Otherwise, you're just going to check out.
So let's talk a bit about the future. Like if you project out the non-fungible token market, either enterprise or consumer experience, in 5 years, like what do you believe about NFT 2024?
So 5 years is a specifically interesting time range. We've seen a lot of products, they've been invented, deployed, people are buying them and selling them right now. Markets go from 0 to millions just like that. But we're talking about billions here. So these type of markets actually take 5 to 10 years. And I think the larger application, much larger than anything we're talking about, is enterprise. Enterprise includes all of the things you're already wearing, eating, doing today. There's systems that support that. This is something that's really friendly for that type of system. Now that there's so much consumer attention on avoiding fraud, consumer rights, things getting injected into our supply chain that aren't good, government has more of a role to look into these things. NFTs helps here. So in 5 years, actually, I think less people will show up at the event, but they'll be representing much larger industries. Just like how many people show up at an Oracle event today, Oracle, the database. Bunch of people, not everybody, not people that collect baseball cards, but guess what? When you buy baseball cards, somebody in that supply chain is using Oracle.
That's a great point. I like that. That's a cool vision, very practical. How do people get a hold of you? So if somebody wants to reach out, they find you on Twitter, or what's the best way to reach you? Email, whatever it may be.
Twitter, that's full decent. Or if you're on GitHub, that's where you'll see my black and white picture the most, also full decent. And you can give out my email address too. It's entropin@4.net.
All right, I got to jump back on immediately. I almost told William about my huge idea. Okay, so wish I had time to tell you, man. I mean, when I tell you, I might have to whisper because I don't even want the angels knowing about this yet. You know what I'm saying? I got to keep this secret. Shh. I'll be back. I'll tell you soon, or I won't. I'll keep doing this because it's just fun for me, and I'm alone by myself, trying to make it fun. That's also a key to this. Alex, thank you so much for joining me for this pre-event interview. Both of us are speakers, and your company that you co-founded with Devin, OpenSea, is one of the key sponsors for the upcoming NFT NYC event on February 20th inside the PlayStation Theater in New York Times Square. And I wanted to just ask a couple questions of you as one of the key speakers and just let people get to know you and get to know what is going to happen at this event. Can we start, Alex, by you just introducing yourself and OpenSea so people have some context?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Ian. I'm Alex Utile. I'm the co-founder and CTO of OpenSea. We're the largest marketplace for crypto collectibles and non-fungible tokens. It's a marketplace for the decentralized web. So similar to eBay, you can buy and sell these digital assets that are basically used to reward you within applications, decentralized applications around the web.
One of the first questions I ask when I speak to folks like you is, can you define non-fungible tokens for somebody that doesn't understand what an NFT is? If somebody says, wait, what's NFT? What is that? How would you define it?
Sure. So I define non-fungible tokens as these units for rewarding users for the time they spend interacting with an application. It either takes the form of like a digital in-game item or a property like a username or a handle or an icon or an avatar that kind of symbolizes your status or your position and identity within an application.
Okay, yeah, that's great. The upcoming event that we're going to be at on February 20th, why do you want to be there from a personal or business perspective, and why should people join us for this upcoming NFT.NYC event?
So I'm going because I love non-fungible tokens. It's an exciting space, and so far there hasn't been a conference for them in New York City. And I love when people are focused on non-fungible tokens as opposed to general cryptocurrency, because the conversations and the presentations are just so much more utility oriented. You know, like there's no point to doing an ICO on non-fungible tokens that are not going to do anything, or that have no like digital purpose.
Right.
So you'll find a lot of games that are like being played right now, or that have plans for doing something whose utility is truly natively digital. So the experiences that get talked about, discussed, and the technologies that get explored feel a lot more native to crypto and a lot less like porting analog things over to cryptocurrency land.
No, that's great. Tell me about the talk that you're giving, and I think you're also part of a panel, but give me an idea about what you hope to communicate to the audience at this event.
The talk I'm giving is called Building Seamless User Experiences for a Collectibles Exchange. What I'm hoping to talk about is the part of the innovation that went behind OpenSea and what we do to make buying and selling as seamless as possible. But I also want to talk about what's different about Web 3.0 compared to the status quo web. There's a lot of discussion about like Ethereum and is it 10x better than the previous web? Because in many senses it's not. There are a lot of areas where interoperability is kind of the big 10x better factor for Ethereum, and building user experiences needs to full on exploit that fact. So I'm going to talk about some ways on how to do it, some ways how to not to do it, examples of games that are doing it well, and what you can do to benefit from it.
Talk a bit about the future with me. What do you anticipate, or what do you hope for, like 5 years from now in the non-fungible token market? Like NFT 2024, what might that be like?
My gut reaction to this question is that I don't think anyone really knows what the future is going to look like. It's very hard to make an honest prediction. I do think that in even a year, even in like 12 months, this month is going to look pretty silly, because the rate of innovation around these asset types is so fast that like the whole space looks different from 6 months to the next. If I had to make some pseudo predictions for, what is that, 5 years out, I'd say that imagine if the web looked like the gaming industry does today, where instead of there being millions of websites that you can access through a common interface like Google, there's only like 6 major ones being used or played by most people. And when a new game comes out, it's kind of the main game for the next couple months, and then it dies out. That's sort of the way the gaming industry looks like now, where there aren't that many games really. There's a couple that dominate, and everyone else falls apart or gets very small user base. With non-fungible tokens, the first vertical that's going to work is looking like it's going to be gaming. And I think what's going to change is there are going to be thousands and thousands of games, just like there are thousands of websites that all get some traction and that all do decently well or a lot better than the bottom 90% tail in the status quo gaming industry. And they'll do really well because they'll all work together in this ecosystem that shares success instead of being siloed in their own gaming worlds and user bubbles.
No, that's great. As we wrap up, how do people get a hold of you? What's the best way to reach out, whatever it may be, LinkedIn or Twitter or email? If people want to reach out to you or OpenSea, what's the best way to do that?
Best way to reach out to OpenSea is to visit us at opensea.io and to click the Discord bubble in the bottom right. We're mostly active on Discord. But you can also reach me directly on Twitter at Xander Atala, XanderAtallah, or come to NFT.NYC and go visit OpenSea. We're super into collaboration. We work with tons of companies every day on collaborative projects, not anything necessarily just for OpenSea. So excited for the conference and excited to meet you all.
Okay, I just finished that up, and my next meeting is in like 30 seconds. So here we go. Every time I gotta go on Zoom, call in, put my participant ID to make sure that the audio captures correctly. I also remember to press record to my computer. I probably should actually record my screen after this one and show you the whole system by which I'm taking the content and making sure it's accessible.
You are in the meeting now. There are one participants in the meeting.
They're not here yet. Okay. So this idea, I'm gonna tell you about it most likely pretty soon. Thank you so much for joining me for this brief pre-event speaker interview. Both of us are speaking at the NFT.NYC event on February 20th. That's happening in Times Square inside the PlayStation Theater. And I just want to take a moment to chat with you. And so could you please introduce yourself and Crypto Oracle, your company, for a little context before we jump into a few questions?
Sure. So I'm Lou Kerner. I'm managing partner at Crypto Oracle. We are a community first crypto VC, best known on the community side for starting Crypto Mondays, which is now in over 50 cities around the world. And we invest in companies building out the crypto infrastructure.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I guess let me first say thanks for all that you've done for the crypto and blockchain communities. Crypto Mondays is a very significant catalyst for community and for spurring people on into this new industry. And so I think you guys have been very successful just in that one little element of your company. Because non-fungible tokens is a new phraseology and it's in a sense a new industry that has been ignited because of blockchain and distributed ledger, everybody has a little bit of a different way of describing what a non-fungible token is. Can you please, in your words, define an NFT?
Sure. So as we look at the marketplace, there are utility tokens, there are security tokens, and there are non-fungible tokens. And what differentiates non-fungible tokens is that each one is unique. So as opposed to in a security token where you have a share, well, it doesn't matter what share you have, all shares are exactly the same. But in non-fungible tokens, each token is unique. So it can be a collectible that grows in value, or it could be something like a ticket. And each ticket is unique. It's for a specific seat on a specific date. And we think that as we're talking about non-fungible tokens today, it's the incredibly early days. And what non-fungible tokens are going to be in 5 years, I think, is beyond anybody's imagination.
Tell me about this event, NFT.NYC. Why should people attend this event? Why should people come and join us for this?
So we're incredibly excited about being a part of the event because we see it's the very, very early days of this brand new industry. Crypto broadly is early. It's 10-year-old industry if you dated from the white paper, Bitcoin white paper, and NFTs are are even much earlier than that. And so it's the very beginning of what we think is going to be a huge industry. And there's nothing more exciting than getting on the ground floor of an industry that's going to be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. Maybe if it was already mature, I'd still want to be involved. It's so exciting. But being in early allows you to be collaborating and partnering with a lot of the innovators that will make it happen. This is all about not quitting, in my opinion. If you stick with it and you do not quit and you overcome the adversity, you can be a legend in this industry because it's so early. My next question is about what you're going to speak about. Can you tell us about the title of your talk and what you hope to communicate during that time?
Sure. So while we're very much into crypto or into non-fungible tokens, it's not something that we do 24/7 like a lot of other speakers at the conference. So we decided to give more of an overview and talk about something which we think is super important. And that's, we're at the very beginning of this brand new industry, crypto. We have no doubt that massive value is going to be created by this new technology, by this new computing platform. But the question to us is who's going to capture that value? And is it going to be the people like you and I and everybody else who's going to be at this conference, who are the pioneers of this brand new industry? Or is it going to be what I referred to as FAMGA, which are the big five of Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon? And they have captured more than 60% of all value created in tech over the last 5 years, which is crazy. So the amount of power they have is growing by the day. And I think Occam's razor would tell you that they're more likely to capture the value, the vast majority of the value, than guys like you or me. And so I'm going to talk about why I think that guys like you and me actually have a chance, and what we need to collectively do as a community to be the winners and capture the value and not have it be FAMGA.
Oh, that's very encouraging. I'm excited to hear what you share. My last question is about the future. What do you anticipate? NFT 2024, I mean, nobody has a crystal ball. We're all going to be wrong. But what are you at least striving toward? What do you want to see happen in the non-fungible token industry in the next 5 years or so?
So, what I look for in every industry, I was at the very beginning of online video. The first company I started was a top-level domain .tv in January 2000. We were the biggest streamer in 2000, except for it was a really shitty experience because the pipes weren't fat enough. And fast forward 5 years, the pipes were fat enough. We bought, at that time I was running a social network called Bolt. We bought the largest online streamer at the time called Yashi, because we thought that now is the time for online video. And we looked at buying the second biggest, but we bought the biggest. And about 3 months after we bought the biggest, the second biggest, somebody uploaded a video called Lazy Sunday onto a site called YouTube. And that day, YouTube became the fastest growing website in the history of the world. 6 months later, Google bought it for $1.5 billion. And so, when they uploaded that video, nobody knew that was going to change the world like it did. But with regards to non-fungible tokens, what we're waiting for is that lazy Sunday moment when non-fungible tokens go mainstream. And it's incredibly exciting. And we think whether that happens, tomorrow or in a year or in 3 years, it'll happen. And in 5 years, this should be a really, really large industry.
I am grateful that you joined me for this. Do you? What's the best way for people to reach you? If they want to reach you, is it LinkedIn or Twitter or email? What's the best format?
Yeah, all those things are fine. My email is lou@cryptooracle.io.
I've been thinking so hard in this room. I'm sweaty. That's next level interviewing, man. I get sweaty. I'm sitting in a freaking chair. Oh, I did stand up. Got my next call I'm late for. But I will eventually tell you my potentially brilliant or completely just ignorant idea. But I am freaking pumped about it. And I'm on the edge of my seat, and I'm telling him hey, I gotta stop at 12:55. But I couldn't stop him. He was too, he had too many amazing things to say. The reason why non-fungible tokens is going to be a big deal is because the blockchain can verify there's only one of them.
It's 66 degrees and sunny.
Okay,
I mean,
that's pretty
it's
good.
basically a dream come true right now.
I would take that.
So it's only like this 250 days a year, though. So I have companies that I'm a partner in Santa Cruz and San Jose and San Francisco and Redding. So I kind of move around a lot, pretty nomadic. But my family, we all live in Santa Cruz.
Okay.
And I love it there. So I'm driving there. I'm driving there now. I'm on Highway 1. Well, here's the thing. This is homeless, and then this is tech entrepreneur.
All right. I am driving from San Francisco to Santa Cruz, back home. I just finished my last meeting, about a dozen video calls today. Pretty wild. And I did my last one at the beach, because who wouldn't want to do a meeting here? Look at this. This place is incredible. So it's down there. There's about 100 surfers down there. And it was a blast. Anyways, so that was pretty righteous today. And I'm very inspired talking to incredibly brilliant people that are on the forefront of developing real applications to build out the blockchain, which is very exciting technically and also for humanity. I mean, I think blockchain is the thing, man. 25 years out, solve systematic poverty, solve government and corporate corruption, solve supply chain management, hold technology accountable, hold machine learning, artificial intelligence accountable, automation just beyond our wildest dreams with smart contracts. Everything can be decentralized, and products can be made autonomous, as well as companies and tools. And I mean, it's the dream. You know, the currency side is just one of the first applications. So very exciting stuff. And gosh, this ocean looks awesome. You're welcome. That was pretty awesome. So yeah, righteous day. And I'm gonna go play with my kids. It's gonna be awesome. So I have a lot of inspiration today, and one was this crazy idea, which I was teasing about, like I was about ready to say it over and over again. I feel like now's the time. So non-fungible tokens, or NFTs, could be the hero of blockchain in 2019 and definitely for the next several years. Blockchain, as it matures, it could be 25 years from now, but the non-fungible token market could accelerate that and could really be a foundational piece of building all the infrastructure out right now. And to understand a non-fungible token, it's a digital asset that there is only one of, or if there's multiple, it's numbered. And it is, everything that happens with it is logged in a blockchain, so you are guaranteed. For instance, if you were a baseball card collector and there's 100,000 baseball cards that are put into packages, and there's one card, it's one of one, it's a limited edition, and if you get that card, it's worth all this money. Well, imagine that with a digital collectible, but it's guaranteed there's only one, and every single time somebody else owns it or is involved with it or touches it, that information's logged, and so this collectible collects more and more information, data, and value. This only one collectible, right? Also, like concert ticket, plane ticket, right? It's a one-off thing. There's only one ticket for that day on that flight with that seat number and that name. That's a one-off thing. So imagine a digital asset. So this kind of started around games, right? So if you're familiar with World of Warcraft or, you know, Pokemon Go, right? Or these different things where you could purchase these one-off things or create these one-off things or sell these one-off things, like a Pokemon Go account, right? Or a World of Warcraft sword or a shield or cloak. So the idea around non-fungible tokens really accelerated, and the conversation accelerated because of CryptoKitties. And there's this event coming up in New York City, right there in Times Square at the PlayStation Theater on February 20th. And it's called NFT NYC. It's also the website to register to come. Over 100 speakers have applied to speak, and several dozen have been chosen, the thought leaders. And they're coming to do all these micro talks, right? 10 minutes long, many of them. And sharing, and these people are coming from all around the world, flying in to gather together to talk about this market. What I'm doing is I'm doing the talk on NFT 2024, or a 5-year prediction of what could be with non-fungible tokens, both from an enterprise business experience as well as a consumer experience as well. And my goal was not just to, imagine and cast vision and inspire, although that is definitely the goal as I'm doing the last talk of the event. But I wanted to pull from all the other speakers. So I've been interviewing all these different speakers, right? Trying to find out, what do they believe 5 years out? What vision are they driving for? Why do they get up in the morning? Why are they pouring their life into this? Why are they recruiting people to leave their current career pursuit into this new market? And man, I got inspired. And I started to think about different applications. And I got to think about, so here it comes. I've been like teasing this all day, which was really just for me, so this probably makes no sense for me that's watching this, but it's awesome. Imagine a sports player. Now, the way it breaks down right now is that a sports player may have a dozen different companies, baseball card manufacturers, and or golf memorabilia, that create products that represent this person, that are in a sense a collectible. And very few products are one-offs, but some are. And I was, told today there's 7 different reasons why human beings collect things. And so imagine, instead of a dozen companies creating very small amounts of stuff, highly manufactured, not one-off, and selling it at a profit, what if you could create these NFTs, these non-fungible tokens, around the experience of professional athletes? So let's take Tiger Woods in golf. If Tiger Woods' golf ball was tracked on the blockchain, and there may be a token to that golf ball, a digital token of ownership, maybe Tiger Woods owns all of those tokens. But with every single hit, there is data logged into that hit that is then put on a one-off token that somebody can acquire and trade and sell. Imagine if that token is attached to a blockchain golf video game. And if you acquire that token of what he really did on that real course, then you get to automatically have that exact hit when you play that hole on that course in that game. Like, whoever you are out there that may be seeing this, run with that idea. Take that to any other sport. Take it to basketball. The Golden State Warriors have a basketball. The basketball is tokenized. Every single one of them is tracked. What happens with it? Every single shot, every dunk, every move can be a separate one-off token that can be then distributed to the attendees of that event. And there can be other data attached to it, like what the sportscaster is saying in that moment, what is on these the different channel, and it's all attached. And let's say that move could be gamified. You purchase the token of Steph Curry's epic long three-pointer. You purchase that moment. It's a one-off experience that's attached to a game, and you are guaranteed that you can press the button and pull off that move because you acquired that token based on real life, bringing together these two worlds. And you think of all the applications potentially around, like fantasy football, fantasy baseball, potentially around all the other ways that we gamify things with gambling. I mean, you take this to sports, horse racing, car racing. I think the one-off sports, like golf, to me is like the best application because one thing happens at a time. It's very easy to track. And also the games made around these sports are also single player, single time experiences. So to me, that's the huge win. I mean, even like if you took the Olympics and you said, okay, this year at the Olympics, we are going to tokenize every single thing that happens. All the audio, all the video will be logged onto the blockchain attached to this token of this specific shot during the sharpshooter event, or the specific vault during the vaulting, or the specific sprint during the sprinting, right? Or the specific shot in hockey or kick in proper football, right? So you imagine that. I mean, you could tokenize the Olympics, create an Olympics blockchain video game, and then you can have every single move tokenized, and that's how people can guarantee the outcome of a play. You can even buy a bad play, like a missed goal, and you could force that to happen when you're playing a friend by playing that token. And if you get tired of the game and you invest this money in this like special game, I mean, think about Magic the Gathering. There's a card, a Black Lotus card, worth $5,000. $5,000 for a piece of cardboard. Magic the Gathering. Imagine what you could do if you could have different moves in blockchain-based sports video games based on real life, like the Olympics. And people can buy the token for certain moves. And then if they get tired of the game, they can sell it, maybe at a profit. Not that it's a speculative investment. It's an investment made into a one-off valuable digital item for the point of, in this case, play, engagement, strategy, trying to get a better experience and play that experience against other people that are also buying these tokens. I mean, you imagine this with golf. Like, you could just take just the Pebble Beach experience and tokenize every single hit that happens. Then you build a traditional video game where traditional things happen, traditional play, but then you could get the token and have the special move. Then the video, I like this one. The people that play the video game, all of their moves are also tokenized. There's obviously a premium on Tiger Woods' own golfing on that course. But even, you know, Jacob and Jane playing, when they do moves, every move can be tokenized. They own that token. They can replay that move. They can sell that move. People would buy that move. It was hard to nail that hole in one. Wow. Holy moly. I'm probably saying things that other people are talking about all the time, but I really like where this is going. I just want to keep talking because it's getting good. So anyway, that's my big idea that I kept talking I want to say, but it took time to explain it, and it actually developed quite a bit as I was talking out loud. Verbally processing is my friend. Well, the ocean's kind of far away now. It's way over there. I'm pumped right now. Today was a good day. I think there's two types of people. There are stable people that hold our society together. They do what they say. They have integrity. They are dependable. They are productive. Here we go. They're flagpoles. Flagpoles, I tell you. And then there are people like me. Flags. Just looking for a flagpole. So I can just go with the wind. I feel like my entire life is a response to what's happening. And only strategic in the moment, intuitively, not with a lot of pre-thought, because that would take time away from productivity.